have learned, Mel, is that you got to love every version of yourself. Like,
How the hell do you do that?
He's absolutely correct. We must always remember that we need to go back to our previous versions of ourselves and understand that any mistakes that we've made, any F ups we've made, are just that, not an identity. And oftentimes I find that we attach ourselves to our mistakes. If we lose a game, we don't walk away saying, oh, we lost that game. Damn. We walk away instead saying, oh, I'm a loser. We take that mistake and we identify it. We hold on to it and we don't let it go. And we need to stop doing that to ourselves because it's kind of self deprecating in a sense to where we are not in a space of encouragement and self reflection and self improvement. So, this is why, as an adult, further on in life, you're able to look back, reflect, and say, you know what? Maybe I did not know better back then. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. That's an important part of this process, is to always tap in and go back to tell our past selves and those past versions every step of the way that you were okay. This is what was meant to happen. This is what we've learned. We can, there's a rainbow on the other side. You don't have to be stuck in that negativity. You don't have to be stuck to your mistake. You can dislodge and disconnect that mistake and move away from it without having to hate yourself, without having to hate that past version of yourself. Learn to love yourself in every sense of the way, every step of the way, every space. Even the times where you did things that you aren't proud of. Show yourself some grace. Understand that at the time you either didn't know better or didn't have a choice. And forgive yourself for that to move further. And I think that's when we are able to channel our healthier self. That's a very important step. Detach yourself from the mistake. You are not a mistake. You're just a person who made a mistake. You get what I'm saying? I hope I'm not losing you guys. In that reference, speaking on that, let's take it a step further. If you also are listening to the person going back into that past version of themselves to relive past incidents in order to share knowledge, to share life lessons with you, which I do. I feel like I've done on this page. I tap into my past self when I was married, when I was in different relationships, when I was in different friendships, my childhood. All of that I have unraveled and posted. And so some people will look at that and see that and they will assume that I'm speaking negatively about the person who witnessed that journey with me, right? Or, and they don't see it for what I'm trying to say. They don't see it for the message. They don't see it for the wisdom because their initial intent was to come messy. We also need to stop doing that. If you see someone sharing their stories and talking about how they are learning to love the past versions of themselves or understand even the past versions of themselves, allow them to be in that space without you having to be messy or create this narrative that they are speaking negatively of the said person. Just because I'm speaking of a hurt that I experienced and you assume that this hurt was done by a specific someone that you know, doesn't mean I'm talking shit or talking trash about the person. I'm speaking of my experience. I'm speaking of my story, and I'm not trying to speak on theirs. It's just mine. Take it for what it is. Um, and so, yeah, that was what I wanted to say because I think those two things are related. Oftentimes, people in the third perspective, they're looking in onto you and your life playing out, and they can walk away with certain assumptions. With that being said, if I'm speaking about an experience that I've had going to a wrestling game, my first wrestling match that I went to, and I took my son. My ex-husband happened to be there as well. We took our son to a wrestling match. Does it mean that wrestling match is was not a fun time for me? No. Does that mean that I'm going to erase it from my memory because I'm no longer married to the person who was there with me at the time? No. Does it mean that was a horrible experience? All of a sudden, I'm going to twist everything and turn everything into something negative just because it's attached to a marriage I'm no longer in? No. I learned very early on how to detach the experience from the individual. I mean, I'm divorcing the person, not the experience. I'm divorcing the person, not the lessons. When you divorce, that person is divorcing you, not the children. So I think we all need to come to that conclusion and understanding as individuals. That's just my opinion. That's what I try to do. So please understand that. Be very careful when you're hearing people share their stories that you are not just in it for your own intent or listening with your own negative ears, that you're able to be impartial enough to see that, okay, this is the purpose of why she's saying that. It's not to trash the person because I don't care to do that because that would mean that the person has a certain level of importance, which they do not. It's not about trashing the person. It's just my reality and it's the way I see things that I'm sharing. I cannot speak on their behalf. Um, what was another example? I was talking to my son. We were talking this morning about it, and he shared some good examples as well. Restaurants. People suggest restaurants to me all the time, and I go. Am I gonna not go anymore because I'm no longer with that person? No. Traveling. I've traveled plenty places with different types of people. If I no longer talk to you, guess what? I can still go to that place and still have a good time. It can still be my favorite place. I take the memories and I keep them. I don't try to erase them. I just transmute them and turn them into something good that I can use them for. That's it. Doesn't mean that because I really enjoyed my time in St. Martin when I was there the first time I went and met all these people, seen things, seen beaches, doesn't mean that I miss that person. Doesn't mean that I want to be with that person. I can like the island. What is the issue? If I met a group of friends in Spain when I used to go to Spain and was there for 3 months and we went to school there and I met some really nice people in Spain as a kid, I don't talk to them anymore. Does that mean that I no longer speak about Spain and some of the jokes that happen? No. Does it mean that I miss those people? No. Not necessarily. I don't, doesn't mean that I want to be there right now with them. I'm just sharing with you of a joyous moment for a bigger purpose. And I think we need to stop doing that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about because it does relate to the Charlamagne video. Learn to love the past versions of yourself. Separate the mistakes from yourself as the individual because you are allowed to make mistakes along the way. You're allowed to meet different types of people along the way and share certain experiences with them that have a lasting impression on you. And just because you disconnect with those individuals or you disconnect with that part of yourself does not mean that you have to trash talk it, does not mean that you have to no longer value those experiences and those life lessons. You can just erase the person or detach from the person without speaking negatively about them and insulting them or being disrespectful. You can share your truth without also being disrespectful at the same time. Just because the person is not disrespectful and knows that doesn't mean that I'm going to also lie about my personal experiences or my feelings just to appease you. So there's a difference. I do not have to make you feel better and butter you up and